Hello, welcome to more Haskell coding. The plan for today is quite monady, I guess. Last week I started adding servant to Servant API for the Showtime app. So I was adding just a simple endpoint where it would list the topics. And then I was going to write a simple purescript app to consume that API and then display stuff on page. It's not really necessary, right? You could just have a static HTML page, but that's not super interesting to do. But when I was adding servants, I came across a problem where the API runs under, well, when we serve the API, we're running under a monad provided by servant, and that didn't match the application monad I created for my app. So we just have a quick look at it. This is where I'm going to. That's where I started writing at the end of the last episode. Previously, it didn't have this M. It just always ran under IO. So this is the monad I was using for the entire application. But when we go into the API, if that is the case, this doesn't work anymore. And so server T takes the API, and then it's going to take something which needs to run under handler. Rather than running under IO. The handler implements monad IO, so if we have a handler, we can always use lift IO to run IO actions, but I can't just run it as IO because there's different types, and handler does some extra stuff, I think. So to get around that, I got rid of this IO, and I'll say the application monad. When we create it, we're going to give it some monad, some M, and we'll create our monad stack using whatever M is provided, which is cool. It means that this now works. So that's kind of cool, but it does mean that everywhere that previously used the app monad is now wrong, right? It needs this extra argument to be passed in. So that's going to be quite a bit of tedious refactoring. And I guess I'll just start it because I need to do it all. So we have all of these places that are broken. Let's just jump to the first one. Do that. Okay. It's going to be a very similar pattern for all of these. I wonder if it's similar enough I can do it fancy-like. I don't know. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we just grab that and then grab these next things. So the first thing is that we need some kind of M. Oh, I can't do this because they're not all lined up. We need some kind of M to pass into here. So it should be app S M, I think. Ooh, where have we done this before? App MS, that's the way I did it. Basically, I need to do this thing, right? So you need to say that, you need to introduce an M, say it's going to be something that implements monad IO, and then we're going to pass it in, or we're going to specify it, perhaps, when we are specifying the app type. So we can do at least a few of these together. Let's try and be clever. So we can go to here. Nope. Go to the beginning of the line. We can go to here. And we can say monad IO of M. And then we can go to S. Does that work? Yep. And we can just put M into there. Okay, and it's not in scope, so I'm going to import it. Okay, and there'll just be a whole bunch of these to fix in the same way, because when I'm using it, right, I don't really care what this M is as long as I can call lift IO on it. And I only care about calling lift IO because when we call load hosts, this is where we're actually going to use lift IO. So I think, I'll double check this, but I think if I don't specify here, I just say any M. Actually, that's fine. Okay. I won't constrain it on things that aren't calling lift IO. That was surprising, but that's cool. Okay, I think then just a whole bunch of this to do. So we got some more. It's going to be the same thing. Let's see if we can get this to work. So here we're going to say mono.io of m, and then if we go to s and we go to s and insert there, we can pass an m, and then we'll work out if we actually needed the mono.io. I shouldn't have done that way around. I should have worked it out first. So maybe actually I'll just use mono.io and then fix the errors. Sorry, not use mono.io. Maybe I'll just specify the m and see what breaks and add mono.io where I need it. Something's a bit weird here because this should be complaining. I guess it's not complaining because something else is more broken, so the compiler's not getting this far. Okay. Let me just put all my m's in place. Right, now we get the errors that we wanted. Okay, so here this calls load hosts, so it can't be any old m, it has to be om. And here, because we're calling lift.io directly, this will need to be monad.io of m. Here we're also calling lift.io. And then this calls it. So this will also need monad.io of m. So I'm guessing we will need it everywhere. It does my initial impression. I'm glad it kind of was correct, even if it means a little bit more work. At least I've learned this thing. Okay, one more to go. So that exists needs monad.io m. Okay, next set of errors. So basically anywhere that's using this, goodness. Let me maybe grab all of these. Any more? Don't know. It's not showing me what it's selecting. Is why I select them all actually. Maybe that's better. Okay. So here we just say m and then s, and then we'll fix the resulting errors. So this will need monad.io of m. We need to import that. Okay. This will also be monad.io of m. Something here. And same thing here. Okay, next. These things, so we'll say monad.io of m, because we're going to need this, it seems. And then here we will pass it into app, and the same thing here. HLS seems happier, the language server seems happier today. It got a bit broken last week, and it broke when I split my project up into VS Code's multi-root workspaces. And I fixed it. It might have been a bit of red herring actually. The way I fixed it was basically I upgraded to a supported version of GHC. So I was running on a version of GHC, point release of 9.4, that wasn't compatible. It wasn't fully compatible with HLS. I've upgraded to the latest 9.6.2, I think it is, and the HLS that supports that. So it seems to be behaving better, which is nice, because I use the language server quite a lot. There's one down below that I've already done. I must have done that last week, probably called it. Oh yes, list I already called directly. Okay. Right, that's a different error. This is because previously I had appm, which was defined as being ReaderT, the environment that we're using for storing stuff in, and then handler. Actually, I think I want to say this. And here I want to say M. Okay, and now I can't work out what's going on. Which is good, I think. So I think here I want to say monolio of M. And maybe import that as well. And then we'll see what new errors pop up. Right. Okay, let's fix it in order. So couldn't match type M with handler. So I cannot have any old M here. I'm just going to explicitly say handler. I could work out some type classes I need to pass in, but it's not worth it, right? I'm just going to be running handler. Here, no instance for storage S from M. Oh no, not quite. Okay, from server append S. Right, I need to make sure that whatever S is implements storage. So here I can just say that. I can say storage S. There we go. Okay. And then here we also need to tell it can run storage, that S is a storage thing. Right, good. A lot of constraining stuff. Back to this. What I'm going to do here. So let's try and do it all in one go. I'll probably get it wrong, but we'll try anyway. So we're going to go to here. We're going to say monolio. We're going to go to S. We're going to do that. And then we're going to type M at that point. And then we can just import monolio. Hopefully that's got everything in this file. No, I messed it up in this file. Okay, I was trying to be very clever and change everything in one go, and obviously it didn't work. Because, okay, I went to the wrong S. I can see what's happened here. So I jumped, when I was giving commands to the editor, I said jump to S, and it jumped to this S, which is in the word episode, rather than this S is where the M should go. Okay, while I'm here, I'm going to do the suggestions. Just so it doesn't get shouty. 4 errors left, right? What have we got left? Oh, look, it's more of this. Who would have thought it? So it's going to take M and here we can say monolio of M. Ooh, probably need to import that as well. Okay, it now says no errors. Okay, interesting, cool. Theory then, let's go back to main for a second. Actually, there's no point going to main. Sorry, because main just calls, oh no. This is also broken. Right. So here, when we call run, we need an M inside here. And need M here. Okay, and then it's a whack-a-mole here. It's as I fix one error, it then starts to find out the next thing that's broken. This thing's monolio, which means we need to import it. Okay, and now it can't work out this M with this constraint. So we'll add the constraint up here. Okay, getting there. So down here, we have the same problem. Whatever this is needs to implement monad.io. Okay, main seems a bit happier. Don't know why it says missing command in big letters. Scary. Anyway, when we call run, it should call API.run, which called warp.run, which it's using my app as a callback here, or it's the function to run, which says, given S is some kind of storage, if we pass in an environment, we return an application, and here we're using this hoist server. So eventually we should end up calling server, which is the thing that implements the API. There's a lot of type level stuff going on here just to serve an API. But anyway, we're trying to serve it. We're using server to serve the API. We're using this NT. I still don't know what NT stands for, but this NT is taking the environment, it will then take this type basically, and we'll return a handler. And it's funny here because we're really getting the environment out of the app environment, which is itself a ReaderT, and then we're putting it back in by calling run ReaderT again. But I couldn't think of a way of feeding this monad all the way through to here, because you jump via this thing, and that runs as an application. Okay, it seems to have stopped complaining anyway, so let's see if we can make it run. Where are we? Cabal build, just see if that works. Doing something. Cabal run. Oh, and I think it's run show time executable, and then we'll run API. It's running on port 8081 open browser. Look at that, amazing. And the endpoint, I think, was /topics. There we go. We now have an API serving our topics. If we look at the raw stuff, it looks like this. Yeah, so we have a list. Is that right? We have a list of topics. Right, we have this stupid name. We really just want a list of strings, actually. The JSON is not exactly what I want. Okay, so we need to go and argue with ASIN again, which I guess I'm doing quite a lot. So actually this will be in topics. So we just said, we derive generic, and then we say to JSON topic. And we're just using the default thing. And I now need to try and remember how to tell it how to derive a new type without putting this into the thing that it's spitting out. In fact, yeah. Maybe it's even simpler than that, because maybe I can just say, given some topic, just return the topic, just get this text out. But I still don't need, I tend to look it up. So in ASIN, there is, well, we just look up to JSON, I guess. So I don't really want pairs. Let's have a look into generic 2 encoding, because that sometimes has got some good stuff. Default options. Unwrap unary records. hide the field name when the record constructor only has one field, like a new type. Seems like what I want. Okay. So this is default options. This is generic to encoding, and basically this. Okay. So I can say this where to encoding is that, and then to encoding will import from ASIN. Generic encoding will import from ASIN. Default options. Shall I qualify it? I'm wondering actually if I should start qualifying these things. I need qualified as JSON. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this import, and then down here I can qualify these things. So we can say JSON.generic encoding and JSON.default options. But I'm going to override one of these options, which was, what was it? Unary. How much called? I go and grab it again. So default options, unwrap unary records. And that's going to be true. Okay. Just for that. Right. Okay, so when I am encoding it, I'm going to use a standard encoder, but I'm going to say unwrap these things. There's a single thing in my record, unwrap it. Recompile that and run it. It's already open in the browser. There we go. Okay, raw data is exactly what we want now. So here's a list of topics. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Right. So now I can look at the other side of this, which is trying to load it and parse the JSON and display it in the purescript application. Okay, so we only have this so far. Give a second, starting stuff up. Yeah. Okay, we only have this so far. It's a very simple halogen component. It's got default eval. We're going to throw this away in a second and replace it with something. It has no state. State is only unit. We do have this data action that is hanging around from a copy and paste from before. We're going to override this in a second. And the whole thing just runs the component. Okay, so plan for this is create an action which is called initialize. And then in the default eval, I can override one of the fields and say, when you initialize it, application, send this action. Then I need to write a handler for action. In fact, it's a handler for all of the actions, but the only action we will have is this initialize. That is going to make the AJAX request using something called AFJAX to get the topics, I guess. It's then going to decode it, probably using Argonaut, which I've never used before, so that might be a little bit time consuming, but it's going to be a library to decode the JSON. We're going to put it into the state, and then we will display the state in the page. Quite a lot. Let's do this to start with. Let me go back to here. Can I find it? It's not in here, it's in Haskell. There we go. Okay, so I currently says hello. We'll make it say something more interesting. So lots of stuff to do in here. Default eval, and then there's something called, suggest it for me. Handle action. No, that's yes, I've done it wrong. Let me copy and paste it because that's going to be a lot easier. So we perform effects. I want life cycles. So my default eval, I basically want this callback. Well, not really. I don't want finalize. I just want the first two. So I want handle action and I want initialize. Okay, copied it a little bit too much. So handle action we need to go and write. Initialize we need to make one of our actions. Okay, and then value handle action, which is good, I guess. Handle action. I need to go and look at the type for this because it's a little bit complicated, but it's something like there's a state and there's an M and then there's some other stuff, and I can't remember what the other stuff is. Oh, an output. Okay. I would not have guessed this. So for all output, I can't remember what output is. An M, and it's saying monad effect M. We will actually change this to be monad af because we want to do an asynchronous action. It'll take an action and then return this big thing, or run under this big thing. Probably it's more realistic. So handle action. I'd have written it in here. Did you say state? No, they don't. So they go, use this funky underscore thing. So you don't need to say state, then in case state of, it'll just say, put an underscore, it'll fill it in with the single argument to this. Okay, so we can say this. And here we're not going to use their implementation. We are going to do the web requesting. Okay, so the web requesting. I'm going to start by copying this stuff down here. HTTP request, right. Oh, where was it? Here. Here. Yep. Okay, I'll need to sort out my state in a second. But this AX and AXRF, so AX is AFJAX web and XRF is AFJAX response format. So I'm going to start by installing this actually because I know I need to at some point. So might as well do it now. So I can say spago install AFJAX web. That should include response format, hopefully. It might not, we'll find out in a second. But now I save this. Enough, not found. Well, let's import it then. Okay, unknown module AX, will it suggest it? Nope. Okay, so we can say import AFJAX web, oops, as AX. AFJAX web is not found. AFJAX.web. What's this problem? Install AFJAX web. Strange. If I restart this, does that help? It does not. It's still not found. funny because I can see it here. I would have expected this to just work. Rename terminal to be Spago. Spago bundle app. Let's see where it gets to. Under module XRF. These do not match up. Strange. I wish language service just always worked. Response format as AXRF. There we go, we're happy again. Kind of. Okay, so what we're doing here, we are running under halogen M, all this nonsense, but this M is part of our stack, and we said that this M must implement monad AF, which means we can call lift AF. So we're going from this halogen M monad stack into the AF monad, so we can make asynchronous actions, in this case an asynchronous request. Doing a GET request, we are saying the response format is going to be a string. We can come back to in a second because we might be able to get it to decode stuff for us. And we're not going to get this URL. The only thing we're going to get is slash. Okay, this gets a bit interesting. So we can get it to do this. 8081 slash handler slash topic, sorry. We could get to that. I think, but that's a bit annoying, right? Because if I run this in a different port, then this thing breaks. What we really want is the web server to be serving the generated PureScript application, like the HTML and the JavaScript that it created. So if we go back to my API for a second, you can see here that we had topics goes to get JSON topic, and then there's a way of saying match everything else and just serve raw content. And then there's something in servant you can say, like there's a handler you can write inside here, which is built into servant, which is just serve from a file system. And of course I can't remember what it is. So it's something like something to do with raw, and it's in servant. Data raw. Okay, has it got an example of this? Yes, can be used with this as well. Okay. So it's just, have I got an example in here? Not quite. Okay, the other thing I need to know is how do you match the default route, which I can't quite remember. But this, I think I want. This is not the one I want, I don't think, because it has the default web app settings. And I think this does aggressive caching and hashes calculated and all that kind of stuff. Oh no, maybe that's okay. We might get some stuff cached accidentally, which is going to be a bit annoying. But we can have a look at that. So what's the, it's not that, is it? I've forgotten how you join these things together. It's not just a straightforward, maybe it is actually. I can't remember what the operator is for joining routes together. Can we just say raw? Right, let's see that. That is not the right thing. Okay, I need some extra servant knowledge. I just jump there, it's not the one I want, but oh no, I really don't want to end up here at all. It is that. Oh, it's colon. It's got a colon in front of it. That's what I did wrong. Right. Okay, raw I can pull in from servant. And now it's upset because I'm not serving it. And here's where I can say serve static web app. No, I didn't manage to copy and paste properly. Serve static web app, and it's got some path. I'll look that up in a second. Oh, to do that, now do we? No. Oh, goodness sake. How do we combine stuff outside of the API? Type level combinator for expressing subrouting. And where's the non-type level equivalent? Same information access endpoints. Let me look up. There's like servant docs, servant cookbook. That should be a quick way of getting it. Just need to see some examples. Oh, they have it here. Oh, okay, sorry, it's complaining because it's a type level constructor, but I can import the non-type level constructor as well. Right. Okay. Nope. It doesn't know serve static web app, so serve directory web app is what I want. Can I import that? Yes. Okay, and then this is going to be some relative path. I'm just wondering where this is running from, but I guess it's running from API. That's where I'm running Cabal from. So you go back up to web, and then I think it's just index.html. No, it's just web actually. How about that? Is that going to work? Let me just rename this to be API. Recompile, see if it runs. Thinks it runs. Okay. So now I go here and drop topics off. What do I get? File not found. Okay. However, I can go to index. Okay, so it's not defaulting to serving index, but it's good enough, right? Okay, so what this now means is that if I go back to the PureScript app, I don't need to give this path. I can just say /topics, which is now relative to where this is being served from. Okay, so that should load a list of topics, and we can just say log, probably need to say h.lift effect of log of show response. Not imported, so we'll import that. goodness. Okay, so just initialize. We want data maybe just. We can't show an error. Okay, if we go back to the example I copied this from. This one, yep. They did hash response. So hash is a function which takes, the response type is either some error or it's this thing. So the body headers instead is text. I could actually say case response of, sorry, I was talking about hash. Hash is something that takes the either type and turns it into maybe. So if you have an error, it just turns into nothing. It throws the error away and turns into nothing. But if you have non-error, then you get that back as just that thing. So it's like a quick way of saying I don't care about the error, but I kind of do care about the error. So we can say error E, and we'll just say log show E, whereas if we get, it won't be error, it'll be left E, which is a type error. But if we get right of some response, let's say it's R, then we can do this, hopefully. Let's see if that works. Are you kidding me? Ooh. Okay, cannot much type. It's not quite right then, so it's not left E. Oh no, maybe it is okay. Oh, I forgot to lift this effect, that's why. It's not the error I was expecting. Okay, now this is what I want. No thing found for error. And what is this error? Do you know, for now we'll just say there was an error. Okay, we need to go back to fix this. So up here, this is similar to the problem we have with the application mode in Haskell. Up here I said for all M, no qualification, no constraints, run this whole thing. And when we get down to handle action, I'm saying M has to be monad-af. So I just do the same thing here. Is it brackets always? No, it's not. The syntax differences between Haskell and PureScript are a little bit confusing sometimes. So that's right, M. That's what's upset. The way to define type classes, especially multiple type classes, is slightly different in PureScript to Haskell, and it's been tripping me up a little bit. Okay, E is introduced but not used, so let's just chuck it away for a second. Actually, let's kind of chuck it away. But we'll just remember it's the error. And then the variable M was shadowed, which is great. So what we actually don't need to do is that. In fact, we don't need to do that either. The reason we need to do it is because these are all under the where of this function, which actually defines them. Okay, so what's upset about? This events is redundant. Fine. One last thing, actually, there's a function called log show, which I can use instead of saying log show. Pretty small position, but you know. Okay, so it's not building because I haven't added af. I go install aff. Let's try again. Some of your project file input module and package are not in direct dependencies. Right. Like it tells me, but it doesn't just go and do it, even though it knows what to run. Actually, I don't like that. I was lying. Okay, inspect. So I grab the console up here, reload the page, and it says nothing. It's not what I expected. Is it because it's in the cache? How do you refresh? Is it like Control-Shift-R? There we go. Okay. It's because it was cached, so when I reload without the cache, it's a tiny text. I'm not sure you can see it, but you can see it says body, and then these are my topics, which is good. Okay, so now we just want to decode the body into an array of topics, I guess. So now I'm going to go to Argonaut. Okay, so similar-ish thing to what we're doing with ASIN. GitHub. We'll define a topic, and we'll just make it S for string for now. And in fact, actually, we don't need to define the topic, right? Because there's nothing to it. It is just a string. So maybe we could say something like, we know we have a result, and this result has got a body. Okay, so then can we say, is it decode JSON? Yeah, decode JSON, but this is inside Argonaut. So I should probably install that. Okay, start it up again. Should complain that I'm not using Argonaut yet. So we could say something like, let's stick it to here for now. So we're going to say, let topics equal this, and then we're going to need to give it a type. Sorry, is decode JSON that? Decode JSON, how did it write it? Decode JSON like that. Of the body, and this is going to be of type list of string. List of string, sorry. Another difference there. And then we can say h dot modify. No, let's just put it. Okay, so we'll make our state up here not a unit, but a list of strings. In our initializer, it won't return unit anymore. It'll return, oops. I think that works as an empty list. Okay, and then put our, why do you not like this? Why is that unexpected? Oh, because, sorry, it's indented to as let. Right, try it again. Doesn't know list, so let's import that. Spag is probably set because Oh, that's not upset yet. I haven't added a list to my dependencies, so I probably need to do that. Decode JSON comes from data organal. Good place for it to come. Okay, it's not M. I meant to say h.put because it's halogen. Is it not got put underscore? Okay, getting better. I think I can say topics. I also wanted to log it. That's why I'm not just calling h.put directly. So we'll lift the effect of log show topics. But this is confusing me because it could not match type, and I said it should be state, and I said state is a list of string. I thought I could just create a list like that, but maybe it's creating an array. Yes, it is creating an array. Maybe it's not a list of string, maybe it's an array of strings. So down here, we'll tell it it's not a list of strings, but an array. Okay, again, somewhere, could not match type JSON with string. Oh. No, body is string, okay. I'm saying decode JSON. I'm a bit confused by that. I thought decode JSON would take a string. No. No. It takes a JSON, right. Okay, so this is not string. Can I say that? We're getting closer, maybe. Yeah, okay. Right, so decode JSON might fail, so I can't cast it into an array of string. Or not cast it, sorry, I can't annotate it as being an array of string. Right, so we're going to go a bit into the world of nested case statements here, but and we don't really need the type annotation anymore because I'm putting it as topics, so it knows, the compiler can work out it will have to end up as being an array of strings. So we can say case thing of, and then we work out what it returns. Left, and then some kind of error. Can we print this one out? So list effect of log show of the decode error. And then write, and we have the topics. Let's get rid of this do. Okay, bit nested, but we made a request. We have an error making request. At the minute we just logged there was an error because I don't know how to unpack this, decode it. But if we didn't get an error, in this case, right, we have some kind of response body, or some kind of response, I guess. And we grabbed a body from it and we call decode JSON on it. If we get some error decoding it, we just show that error. Otherwise, we log the topics and we put them into the state. Okay, we're not using did list anymore. And then we go back to here, it's going to be complaining about something. going to say I'm not using Argonaut. I guess I thought decode JSON came from Argonaut. Bit confused by that. Anyway, it built it, so in theory I could reload it. And there we go. It's now printing out this decoded list of topics. So one final thing, I guess, before we wrap it up, let's show it. So we can say here, we can say topics, but we'll put this in the new element, which is hh.div_, and it's going to have a couple of children in there. It'll have the header, and then we'll have render topics. Probably need to pass in state. And render topics. We'll go from state to this monster h. Oh, actually, I'll let the compiler work it out because it's quite complicated. So, given some topics, we're going to have hh.ul, I guess. These underscores, incidentally, so ul underscore means I'm not specifying any attributes of this element. I'm just specifying the contents of it. If we want to specify the attributes, then you'd have this, and you have some stuff in here, which is the attributes like setting a class or setting an event handler or something like that. But I'm not going to set any of these yet, so we'll probably come back and start setting classes and stuff and make it look a bit better, but not today. Right, this contains, normally you'd pass in a list and you'd put all the elements inside there, but actually what I want to do is map over the topics. And for each topic, I want to say hh.li underscore and then h.text, and the text is going to be t. Okay, so we're going to have ul, and inside it, it's going to have every topic turned into a list element, a list item. Did that work? There you go, topics, testing stupid, new topic, Haskell is great, goes fine. Cool, okay, so not a great API so far, but it's enough that I can now encode stuff. And actually it's interesting because the topics that we created from the Showtime tool are now coming back by the API, and we can show them in a web page. And we'll start to add some extra stuff like adding topics and deleting them and showing the casts and showing participants and showing episodes and all that kind of great stuff. But we can come back to that next time. But for now, thank you for watching. And yeah, see you next. It might not be next week. I'm not sure yet, but I might not be around next Thursday, so it might be 2 weeks' time. But when we come back, oh sorry, what was the signature of render topics? Is a good question. It's a really good question, and it's not hinting for me. Okay, let me see if it's this. So render topics is going to go from state to, does that work? Okay, this is that. So it's going, this is also going from state to component HTML action unit, not unit, sorry, complicated thing we'll come back to later. So it's exactly the same type as render. Turns out it wasn't that complicated in the end. Cool. So yeah, next time we come back, we'll a couple of weeks time, maybe next week, we'll see. I'll start to add more stuff into the API and start to add more stuff into the web app. And just build a more complete thing. Maybe look at styling as well. I might pull in Tailwind, have a look at that, but also might not, because it's quite a lot of API work to get through first. Cool, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.